What is up, Terps fans? Welcome into another Fear the Podcast. I'm Matt Moderno. I'm joined here today by one of my favorite Terps of all time, Dave Neal. If you didn't listen to our previous podcast together, it's a little lower down in the channel here, so go check that out. But Dave, 8-5, 4.5 rebounds, or 8.5 points, 4.5 rebounds as a starter on the 2008-2009 team, and set the best screen in Maryland history for my money. That's an all-timer that sticks out for me. Thanks for coming on, and how are you doing?
Of course, Matt, happy to be back on Fear the Podcast. Life is good, kind of same old, still living down in Rio de Janeiro, actually coming in on our first year, which is crazy how
Nice.
fast it's gone by. But yeah, just excited to be back on and talk about Terps basketball.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to do it. There's not like a ton going on at the moment, but we're catching up right after a pretty, wild end of the season here. Let's just start with the good, right? I think this season was probably the most excited, I've been about a Terps team probably since, you and I were on campus. So it was just cool. It had a different vibe to it. They were a fun group to watch and get behind. So just, you're somebody that's been to an NCAA tournament here. Like you got to play in March Madness. What was this experience like for you and to see this team go and feel like they could actually make a little noise in the tournament too?
It was enlightening. There was a lot of hype. Obviously with Derek Queen coming in as a McDonald's All-American and kind of a future NBA star, and then some of the transfers they brought in. I feel like Willard and his team did a great job building what they could, leveraging the transfer portal with Gillespie, Rodney Rice, and some of the other guys. And I give Willard credit. It's hard to bring in new guys every single year and try to build a team that wants to kind of be in it for them all. And I think this year, this team really showed that they were determined to make a serious run, and we saw that throughout the season. Obviously they had their ups and downs, a couple tough losses, especially that one with Michigan State with the half-court buzzer beater. But they never really hung their heads. They held their heads high. They kept fighting, and it showed during the NCAA tournament with the wins that they had and how far they made it, that they were in it to win it, and then they gave it their all, which is really all you can ask for from a team every single year.
You mentioned that Michigan State buzzer beater. Like they lost a couple of tough ones like that, and like you said, they never really seemed to let that kind of stick with them. And I thought your guys' 09 team had that too. Like just like, hey, we're here for a particular job, and if we take a tough loss, it didn't seem to like kind of bog you guys down for a long time. Is that just being veteran led? Like what kind of drives a team to be able to just shrug those things off a little bit easier than others?
I do think having a veteran that leads the team, and most of these guys that on this last team all had experience playing and kind of going through that. I think it was like their 4 losses were like less than a couple points every single game that they lost. So I just think believing in each other, and you could see with these guys that they believed in one another, that everybody was out there to give it their all. And you play a lot of games every single season, and you got to move on from the good wins, the bad losses, the close losses. It's the game's over. You move on to the next game, and you obviously prepare to win that game. And I think Willard and his staff did a great job kind of keeping the guys excited, keeping the guys pumped up, because they are deflating. As a player, you play for 39 minutes and you get a buzzer beater at the half court against Michigan State, which is a great team. Obviously, Tom Izzo has built that program into almost what I would call a dynasty to a certain extent. They kept their heads high. They kept kind of what their goal was, and their goal was to get back to the tournament and make some noise. And you could just see that kind of rubbing off on each one of the players.
When you're on a team and you make the tournament and you feel like you can actually go and win a couple games, you guys won a first round game. You had a really good first round game, 15 points and a win over Cal as well. Like, what's that feeling like, just being a part of that for those of us who will never live, being on a March Madness team?
It was amazing. So I played in 2. Well, my sophomore year we played. We beat Butler, we beat Davidson with Steph Curry, and then we lost to Butler. And then my senior year, as you mentioned, I was starting and kind of got to really live what life is like at the NCAA tournament, involved in the interviews, kind of talking to all the different media channels and media outlets. And it was an experience. That's as a college basketball player you dream of is going to the NCAA tournament, winning as many games as possible. Obviously, we would love to go further. Beating Cal was a great win, and then obviously we came up against Memphis with Cal Perry and Tyreek Evans and
a good team.
Robert Dozier and a couple of guys, and Josh Selby. I'll never forget. He had like the game of his life. I can't even remember how many threes he had, but he was lights out, and they were a great team. Obviously, we would have loved to beat them, but it just kind of just saying that I was able to experience what the NCAA offers players that get to that level and play in that tournament. It was remarkable. Everything was world class and an experience that I'll talk about forever.
You've got a guy like Julian Reese who, is loyal to the program in an era of college basketball where that's not really a thing that much. I wanted that for him just about as bad as I wanted it, like for the rest of us here. And at some point it became apparent during this tournament run that there was something going on with Kevin Willard. I think once it gets to a certain point where you hear enough rumors and things like that, it's where there's smoke, there's fire situation. What do you think that's like for those players? Like, are you even able to tune something like that out, or is it got to be somewhat of a distraction?
I think it has to be somewhat of a distraction. Obviously, that in the NCAA tournament, it's a time where you really come together. You take one game at a time, and you put a lot of focus, you put a lot of time into that, and when you have all this outside noise coming out about the athletic department, potential Willard moving on, like it definitely weighs on you to a certain extent. Obviously, we're basketball players at the end of the day, so you're out there playing the game that you love, and I think the team did an amazing job trying to stay as laser focused as possible. And they had some tough games, and they fought through them. That Colorado State game was unbelievable, and obviously that shot by Derek Queen was magical.
Timer, yeah,
and will be talked about forever. But I think that's just, as I spoke about earlier, that team was really in it to win it and truly make a run to as far as they could in the NCAA tournament. And obviously they came up against Florida, who eventually became national champions, but the timing was not ideal. As a Terps fan, as a Terp alum, like you never want to see that noise come out at that time of the season. Those kids put their blood, sweat, and tears in practice, preseason, during the season, and then to release that news and just nonsense was devastating. And then obviously it continued to unfold more as the season ended, and Willard decided to move on. I get it. It's a business. You got to do what's best for yourself. And with the NIL and everything that's going on, you want to put yourself in the best position at a university. And I think Maryland can get back to that level of being a top tier university. And personally, I thought Willard was ready for that battle to kind of take it on and say, hey, guys, I know it's not going to be an easy road, but I'm here to win it. Let's continue to build these teams. And he was showing that with some of the teams he put together during his time here. But unfortunately, that's not what all laid out at the end. And now we'll move on to Buzz. I think Buzz is bringing a new buzz, as everyone's saying, back to College Park with his kind of intensity, his legacy of what he's done at other universities. So I'm excited to kind of see what he's already built in the transfer portal, bringing some guys from Texas A&M, UVA, and Kansas, and watching him come in and kind of cement his legacy here at University of Maryland.
I think it was cool to hear from him coming in that he'd had some kind of pre-existing relationship with your old coach, Gary Williams, that, he and Lefty had kind of a connection there too. So like, I think he may get a little bit better maybe than even somebody like Willard did, like what that history and what that legacy means, not only to the program, but like to the fans too. And something I definitely want to talk a little bit more here as we go is just sort of reestablishing, that connection to the past. And that's something I consistently hear from other fans and friends, and other former alums are just like, why don't we promote that a little bit more. So I do hope that that's something that Buzz Williams, kind of focus on a little bit here. But before we get to that, just I think you can draw some parallels to him and Gary from a like kind of tough, no nonsense. But everything we've heard from former players, from Buzz Williams, everything you're hearing from recruits so far is, I love this dude as a person. He's a great guy. I think he genuinely cares about me, as a human being. And I think that's tougher to do in college basketball, is to be able to like tough love some guys, but also have them still get it afterwards. And that was the vibe I got from your old coach. So I guess how important is that to be able to like coach guys hard, but still have that like feeling at the end of the day where like he wants the best for you?
I mean, I think it's what makes these coaches successful. I mean, obviously, your job as a coach is to bring the best out of every single one of your players, and every player kind of reacts differently to constructive criticism, feedback, whatever it is, whatever you name it. And that's what I loved about Coach Williams. I needed a guy that was going to be on me, that was going to push me, that was going to yell at me, that was going to do everything I needed to give it my all every single day. And Coach Williams knew that. And I think that's what made, one of the ways made Coach Williams the coach that he is today. He knew how to get into his players in a way that they were going to listen, they were going to respond, and give it their all. And I think Buzz does have that same vibe. I mean, they showed that interview at the end of the season in the NCAA Tournament, where they interviewed 3 of the Texas A&M guys, and one of his players was like, "This man means the world to me. He's legendary. He's like a father." Like, those are the types of, I think, words that you want to hear from a player speaking in regarding to their head coach. Because if I was playing nowadays, I mean, that's the type of coach I'd want to play for. I want someone who actually cares for me, that wants the best for me, to be the most, not only the most successful basketball player, but to be a very successful man, because there's a lot of life after basketball's over. And I think Buzz knows that. He's a family man. He spoke about his family at the press release when he was at College Park. So I think there is a lot of similarities to the way Gary kind of carried himself and coached his players throughout his career. And Buzz has obviously shown that through his career. And then I also say their swag's the same. I mean, they both wear suits. Buzz is probably one of the best dressed college coaches in the game.
He's got the 3-piece suit going too.
3-piece suit. And Willard was the same way. Willard wore a suit every single game. Like, I think a lot of these coaches nowadays have moved away from suits, which is fine. But it just shows you that Buzz still has a little of that old school look, feel, vibe to him that a lot of these coaches before carried on and were very successful with.
I think something with both guys too, there is a little bit of like, it's not going to be for everybody. They're kind of unique personalities. And, I've heard stories of like, certain players have said like, Gary would call us all MFer, but you could tell who he was talking to about which, the tone of the MFer. Like, that doesn't work for every player. I think there's some amount of that with Buzz here too. So, him finding his kind of guy seems really important. And that's why, like you said, I'm glad they are bringing, a few guys over from Texas A&M. They already get, what they're signing up for. And that's at least a foundation of a team. And then you kind of build around that.
Yeah, and they can work with the other players that haven't been coached under Buzz yet.
Exactly.
They can kind of give them their experience, kind of work with them, talk to them through different situations, because, I mean, the college basketball season is a long one, and not every day is gravy. And so, like, you need people that have that experience to say, look, this is what coach really meant. It might have came off the wrong way, but like, I've been with him for a year, 2 years, and we'll get through this together. So I think that will help a lot. And I think it speaks to Buzz, bringing guys from Texas A&M that want to follow with him, still have him as his coach, and wear that Maryland jersey proud and represent for us alumni and also for the fans to try to have another successful season.
Just along those lines too, you talk about players being able to help kind of, smooth things over sometimes, but that's a lot of what assistant coaches do, at least from the outside looking in here. I'd love your perspective on that, but his top assistant, Steve Rockefort, is like an OG recruiter, like the guy brought DeJuan Wagner to Memphis and had a number 1 recruiting class. And I guess how important is that to have the right staff around a head coach too?
I mean, I think it's very important. I mean, the staff that I had when I was there, I mean, I still talk to a lot of those assistant coaches pretty frequently, just because those are the coaches you go to when you might be frustrated, you might have a question, and obviously you don't want to always go to the head coach. You want to be able to be comfortable to go to these assistant coaches and have a gentleman's conversation with them. Like, hey, I didn't agree with this. I thought I was doing this the right way. Obviously, coaches felt differently, and using them kind of as the sort of mentor and an assistant coach that they should be, to just be able to get some weight off your shoulders that might be a little more difficult to do directly with the head coach. So I think it is super important to have a very strong knit coaching staff to build a successful team.
He brings a bunch of assistants with him, several players. We talked about like that the guys speak highly of him off the court. There's some conversation about where Maryland is and the overall picture of NIL. Like I don't think we're doing, we're not the bottom, but we're definitely not one of those like $10+ million teams. And I think that's where like relationships still matter. It's a people business. They'll always matter. So if you can, I hate the word culture because I don't even know what it means anymore. People use it so much, but there is something to that with like, these guys want to stick around and you've got something going there and it can kind of be this kind of snowball where it self-fulfills itself a little bit of like those players will help say nice things about that to other recruits who then bring it to other recruits and hopefully you can get it rolling that way too.
No, I can't agree more. And so we'll see. I think he's got 2 roster spots left. I mean, I was doing some research before this podcast, and it looks like he's targeting some high quality caliber players. We'll see how it plays out in the whole NIL situation and how much money. But as we spoke about earlier, I'm super optimistic with what Buzz is going to bring to Maryland basketball and continuing to kind of rebuild what Maryland basketball used to be during my time and obviously the many years before and the work that Coach Gary Williams did during his long tenure there.
The kind of staples of the Buzz Williams program at Texas A&M were offensive rebounding and toughness and limiting second chance points. So defensive rebounding is huge there too. And they weren't really big on 3-point shooting. That sort of wasn't a core staple for them. But I think the guys they're bringing in aren't like the best shooters on paper, but there's some dudes there that I think have untapped ceiling left to reach. And like a guy like Elijah Saunders, who we had on the podcast here at UVA, didn't shoot the highest percentage, but slumped a little bit at the end. Also, playing around better guys that can create better looks for you is super important too. So I think he's maybe seeing a little bit of that with some of the guys they're bringing in and a lot of the guys they're targeting for those last couple spots you mentioned, I think are guys that can shoot. So I think he's seeing like, we've got to bolster what we do here with, a little bit more of a sort of modern basketball here too.
Yeah, no, I mean, you definitely need the 3-point shooters. I mean, we saw prior to the team last year, when you don't have a team that is capable of shooting the 3-pointer in a solid fashion, it definitely hurts you. Mm-hmm. But again, I mean, I think Buzz, he knows what it takes to be successful, and hopefully in these last couple roster spots that he picks up, he can get a sharp shooter that can be reliable on. But as I just kind of read about, I mean, this David Coit, I mean, when he was at Northern Illinois before Kansas, and he was an unbelievable scorer. And obviously at Kansas, they have a lot of great scorers, great players, and maybe he was kind of behind the scenes a little bit. But now that he's got a new opportunity, he come in here and kind of start lighting it up again and kind of follow in like the history of what we've had from scoring point guards, starting my time with Gravis, and then you're looking at Melo Trimble, Anthony Cowan, Gillespie from last year. And then you never know, kids get hot. I mean, it's off season now. Hopefully these kids are working on their game and doing what they need to do to have a successful season and come out and prove themselves and takes what's needed to have a successful season.
It seems like he's looking at guys too that maybe are ready for a bounce back year. Maybe their situation last year wasn't their best. You got a guy like Miles Rice. Indiana seemed like a whole mess last year, but he was great at Washington State before that. So, hopefully we can get him on the way up, and that would be super cool to see.
I mean, that's the one good thing about, NIL and the transfer portal. It gives people a fresh, clean start, which, some of these kids, that's what they need these days. I mean, they had maybe their experience at the last university wasn't good. Their obviously morale was down. And so this is kind of like a new opportunity for them to come in and prove themselves again. And I think that's one of the advantages of the transfer portal in NIL. It gives kids a fresh start to prove themselves again, to obviously better their chances in whatever levels of professional basketball they play after. And so for a lot of these kids, it's a great opportunity. I mean, you're coming into a basketball program that has a ton of history. It should get them excited. They're playing at the Xfinity Center, one of the best college atmospheres and environments there is. And so I think a lot of these kids will kind of use that to motivate them to work hard in the off season and kind of bring what they needed to bring when the season starts.
These are guys too. I think if you've had a down year, you've got a little bit of that chip of I want to prove people wrong, like you were talking about too. So I think that seems to fit into like the Buzz Williams aesthetic a little bit of guys, with the chip on their shoulder. So
I mean, look at Rodney Rice. He had a huge chip on his shoulders after his years at, I think it was both at Virginia Tech. And he came in and proved himself, had a great season, and kudos to him. He got paid a large amount of money to go to USC, and I wish him the best. But that should be a success story for all these kids. Like you can have a horrible year and not play a lot. I mean, obviously injuries, and then come in here and have one good year and set yourself up for a lot of success.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's a great way to look at it. Terp great. Len Elmore talked about just there needs to be more representation from former Terps here in the program, specifically on the staff. I think he was more so advocating for a head coach that was a former Terp, but I'd at least like to see, some more familiar faces around the building here. And I know you agree with that too, but like, why do you think that hasn't happened? Is that just different personalities? Like, because it's not because guys don't want to be involved, right? Like they're guys from your era, since then that are looking to get back involved with the program.
Yeah, I don't really have a good answer. I mean, I think it is a necessity. I mean, you look at some of these universities that are successful. I mean, look at Duke. I mean, they had a ton of guys that were former players on their staff.
Yep.
And I could probably name 8 or 9 more universities that bring players back on that want an opportunity to get into coaching. And I think it's a great look for schools to have players on the staff. It shows the current players that, look, this university cares about us. They
got a home here.
Yeah, you got a home here. If you ever want an opportunity, we'll create one for you on whatever level on the staff. So we'll see. I know Gravis was trying. He interviewed with Buzz. I don't think the door's completely shut. And we all know Gravis. He's got a tenacity to him. He will keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And you never know, that time will come. And I think Gravis would do a great job. I know James is trying to get in the coaching world, James Giss. But there's a lot. I mean, eventually it'll happen. And I think it'll show people that it should have happened earlier. But yeah, it's frustrating that there hasn't had an opportunity to bring a former player that wants to get into coaching and has the experience to be a solid addition to a staff on all fronts: player development, recruiting, and just someone that knows Maryland basketball through and through.
I just was at the Capital Classic game over the weekend here, and the coach of the U.S. All-Stars was Walt Williams, and one of his assistants was Byron Mouton. It's like Byron's a really good local coach too. Like there are a ton of guys that, Sean Mosley does a lot of player development work and skills training and things like that too. And so even if it's not guys you're bringing back, full time to be a top couple assistant there are still ways to get people involved. And there's a lot of guys that are still local that you couldn't tell me you couldn't bring Lonnie Baxter in and teach guys about, low post footwork or, just little bits and pieces here to make them feel, part of the program would be a smart move.
Yeah. And nowadays, I mean, there's opportunities coming up with like skills players, player development. I mean, there's ways to get involved if the university is willing to invest in former players in some sort of capacity. I mean, it doesn't have to be a full-time job, but I think it's a way to open the door for folks who invested a lot of time through their college career, their basketball career, and want to give back to the University of Maryland in some sort of way. So I think the time will come. I just hope it's sooner rather than later.
You touched on it. I think that's a sales pitch for guys when you're recruiting them of, look how many of these faces played here. Like, you can have a home even in the transfer portal era where you may only play, a year or two, like a guy like a Jameer Young. You only play 2 seasons for Maryland, but if people can see him in some capacity, after his pro career is over around the program, like I think that helps you recruit long term too. So like it's really in their best interest that you find ways, or even if it's just other jobs within the university. You see schools, a lot of places right now are not only hiring general managers, like Power Five schools are bringing on whole scouting staffs under a general manager. Like there's so many guys here from this team that know ball and were well coached,
Yeah.
that could help with that a lot.
I mean, yeah, there's all sorts of positions being created now at NIL because, I mean, you look at college basketball as a full run business now, and you need to be scouting and looking for players year round. And obviously the coaching staff can't do that because they're focused on winning games and getting their team ready for the season. So you need players to do, or you need a staff to help you in other aspects of whatever is going to make that business successful. And it's good for donors. I mean, donors want to see former players or people that want to get back involved and say, okay, like if Jameer Young wants to come back and be part of the scouting team or be part of the player development team or the analytics team, whatever that is, like it builds credibility that this staff really wants what's best for the University of Maryland.
Exactly.
And that's when donors are like, okay, this is exciting. This is what I want to see, and maybe gets people to open their pocketbooks a little more. And then our NIL money starts going up a little more, and then we start getting better players out of the transfer portal. I mean, it's kind of just it just opens the door for a lot of opportunities when you start engaging with those alumni that want to get involved. And I know there's a handful that would love to get involved.
Yeah, it feels like, obviously this has been a great program, but not to the level I think we all think it can be here. But it does have a little of that kind of sleeping giant vibe to it. If you can just get people excited for long enough, I thought this year's team was a step in the right direction. And
100%.
now, like, does the end of the year kind of kill that vibe a little bit? Is Buzz going to have to prove it, and get people back on board? But there are other ways to do that too. I think you and I both feel strongly that this alumni presence is well served by something like an alumni team like Shell Shock, which is going to participate in the basketball tournament on Fox Sports this summer. You're getting a little bit more involved there, Dave. So can you please tell folks a little bit about what it is and what you're going to be looking to help the guys with?
Yeah. So I'm kind of stepping in and helping Nima, who's built the Shell Shock brand, and we're compiling or building what we call an alumni coalition. So we're trying to bring alumni back together and kind of use their voice, their network, their power to build a team or a brand or a corporation, if you will, into something that could be successful, that kind of shows the University of Maryland and the athletic department that the alumni still have a strong hold on the Maryland kind of culture, feel, look, and vibe. And I've kind of stepped up as more of like on the operations side to round the troops up, get the alumni back together, and just kind of hear where their pain points are, what their frustrations are, what they want to see, and try to put together a team of players that want to show up and play in the basketball tournament this summer in hopes to win $1 million. So I'm excited kind of for this venture. I mean, obviously it's just all blood, sweat, and tears, kind of the same mindset and tenacity that I put in my 4 years at the University of Maryland. But hopefully we can build something special, get people on board, get people excited, and not only help the brand of Shell Shock, but also be able to help with the collective and bringing players to actually play at the Xfinity Center and win games for us during the season.
I think that's such a smart way to go about it too. And the more former players that are involved and invested, it shows donors that there's something here, and I think that's
Yeah,
more
that's
incentive for
really
them to get involved too. When you can point to all you guys from multiple eras kind of in the mix here too.
Yeah. And we're going to be doing a lot of stuff. I mean, we talked about this earlier, but there's a golf tournament at July 14th at Whiskey Creek where we're going to have a bunch of alumni out there playing golf, and people obviously can sign up and participate in the golf tournament and play with different alumni, kind of their choice. We're going to do an exhibition game to obviously get people excited about the team. I mean, I'll put it out here. We're going to try to get Melo Trimble. I mean, obviously, he's having an amazing overseas professional career. Anthony Cowan, Bruno Fernando. I mean, we're going to try to bring the best team we can back together. And if we win, I mean, winning heals a lot of things.
That's true.
And it
We'll
brings
get
people back together. So
Yep.
if we can get a team that is excited to come back and play and represent Shell Shock and University of Maryland, I think a lot of people will jump on board and get really excited about what Shell Shock can do and bring to the University of Maryland athletic department.
That's awesome, honestly, and I think it's a little bit of like a fantasy basketball roster as a fan for some extent. Like,
100%.
yeah, I would love to see this player play with this player who I never got to see, and I always wondered if this guy was on this group, how it would have paid off. And I think that's really like kind of the coolest thing about it. But
Yeah, and there's way. I mean, and with TBT and just with Shell Shock, I mean, we want to get people as involved as we can. So I mean, we're looking for sponsors to put on the jersey. If the sponsor has kids, we're interested in having kids sit on the sideline, call plays, interact with the players during the game, help Nima, maybe call a play. Like, we want to make this as interactive as possible. There's really no rules against anything. And so it's just can be a fun way for people to get involved with Maryland alumni and bring them back closer to what Maryland basketball used to be during the time these players were involved. And so it's an exciting opportunity. I know last year we did not have a team, but the goal this year is to have a team playing in July in Charlottesville and competing for that $1 million.
Like I said, there's no reason that the players that have come through this program can't build a team that could go out and literally win it this year. And
100%.
You do that, you have success in year one, people will definitely get behind that. And then it's a nice way, like we talked about with the overall program, is it sort of just gets momentum and people here like a winner. And when they see you're serious about it, like, it's easier to get, people on board for next year too.
Yeah. And every alumni that I've reached out to, I mean, you touched Byron Mouton, we have Terrence Morris, Sean Mosley, Gravis Vasquez. Obviously, they're not playing, but they're going to be involved in having a voice and driving some decisions that is really going to help build this brand and a way for us alumni to benefit from a business, the way that we really never got to benefit from what NIL is doing for players these days. This could be an opportunity and a platform for alumni who still have a following, who people still love, to leverage and help in capacities. If it's to the collective, it's to help themselves financially. Like, there's a lot of opportunities, and we're excited to kind of get this initiative up and going, and moving forward with it.
That golf tournament on July 14th. So 14th is my birthday. I do not golf. But with that many guys out, I want to come just ride the golf cart around and slug some natty bows, and hang out with the
the more the merrier. I mean, it should be a fun event. It will be a fun event. And I've never played Whiskey Creek, but I hear Whiskey Creek is a pretty awesome course. It's like they have different holes that replicate famous courses around the U.S.
Yep.
I believe, and it should just be a great day and an exciting opportunity to get fans, sponsors, donors back together with alumni and kind of just catch up and talk Maryland hoops, Shell Shock, and then crush some natty bows and play some golf.
I'm assuming the like the Instagram page for Shell Shock will have more details as we get closer. That's Shell Shock TBT for anybody who wants to follow that along. But we can also kind of post that here on the show as we go and get closer here too. So if you want to funnel me any more details as they come up,
Yeah, no, I'll definitely share more details. Instagram's a great outlet. I mean, we're going to have some players speak about the charity event as well.
Nice.
If anybody listening to the podcast is interested in being a sponsor or helping out in any capacity, you can reach out to me on Instagram, X, or reach out to Matt, and Matt can obviously connect me with whoever. But we're excited to kind of get this up and going and definitely make the basketball Shell Shock team a successful one.
Like we talked about, there's definitely an appetite for this. So I'm glad you guys are seizing the opportunity here. And I just look forward to seeing where this goes. And, hopefully next year's men's basketball team will be really good too. So we could get the full, thing going here at the same time and get, this basketball in the area back, where we all want it to be.
100%. Yeah, no, I'm excited for this upcoming season. I'm excited for Buzz and the team that he's putting together. Hope to get back to some games this year. We'll see, but I know it's going to be a fun one. Just looking at Buzz's track history, I mean, what he's done at his previous schools. I mean, he's a winner. He knows how to get teams to the dance, and that's really all we can ask for. And so super excited for this upcoming season.
Dave, you've been great and giving me a ton of time here as always. So I always appreciate you for doing that, especially on a Sunday afternoon here. Any parting thoughts you want to leave anybody with here that we haven't touched on yet?
No, I think I'm good. I think just for the Terp fans out there, I mean, let's be optimistic. Let's get excited. Let's get behind Buzz. I mean, he's here. He's a proven winner. And I think he's going to bring that mindset, that tenacity, that grit that we love to see about Maryland basketball and what Gary Williams really brought during his coaching career. So let's get out. Let's support him. Let's support these players. And let's get behind him to have another successful season like we did this last one.
I love that. That's so well said. I'm going to clip that from this episode because I think that's what people, need to hear right now. And if the former players are excited, you guys know ball. I think that's a good reason for the rest of us to get on board here too.
100%. 100%.
Good luck with everything with Shell Shock this summer. I'll definitely be, trying to help promote that here as we go and, keep it rolling.
Awesome, Matt. Well, thanks so much for having me on. Always great to connect and talk hoops, especially Maryland basketball. And I look forward to being back on soon on Fear the Podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, man. All right, everybody, if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like button for us, rate, review, subscribe. All those things really help. And we will check you all next time. Remember, Fear the Podcast.